welcome back to the Astro Experience. Now, we're going to be continuing on this moon sign series, okay? Now, I usually consider the moon like top two most important placements in your birth chart, depending on whatever aspects you have, okay? But now we have Aries moon, okay? Um, Aries is ruled by a malefic, which is Mars. So Mars is considered a more harsh or more negative planet, all right? Mars is a planet of aggression, passion, willpower, motivation, how you express your masculine energy, your drive, your desire. It's often considered the planet of war also, okay? So when you have Mars ruling Aries, Aries energy is very fiery, very much about go, 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 very pushing out and very masculine, okay? Now the moon is naturally a feminine, receptive, emotional planet. So when you have your moon in Aries, Aries is really going to heat your moon up, all right? So a lot of times Aries moons have very passionate, very hot emotions, all right? But another thing about the moon is that it rules the first seven. Well, it really rules your mother figure, your maternal figure, how you were nurtured growing up, how you experienced care growing up, what made you feel comfortable, all right? What made you feel at ease, how you were taught to express yourself emotionally, right? So earlier on in your life, Aries moons have a very, very fiery mother figure, okay? Aries moon's mothers may have been very independent, very forceful, very passionate. They can get aggressive. That is a possibility, but they don't have to be. Overall, very forward focused, all right? These people may have grown up with single mothers because Aries energy is all about independence, all right? And then when you have an Aries moon, the moon represents your maternal figure. So a lot of times these people grow up with single mothers. And if it's not a single mother, the mother feels like they can't depend on anybody, okay? The mother feels like they have to be hyper independent. And if you guys see me looking down, I'm just looking at some notes that I took, all right? So yeah, the mother was very fiery. The mother was very authentic also. The mother never really hid the truths of the world from the children. Very raw, very authentic, very straight to the point, no sugarcoating. The mother can get aggressive at times. There can be a potential for emotional abuse, even verbal abuse. I'm not going to say physical because that's kind of crazy, but that potential is there also, okay? And, you know, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist or anything like that. I'm not licensed. So consult an actual professional about this shit. Like, but in terms of placements in astrology, this can most definitely indicate that. All right. So very strong mother figure. And you learned a lot from your mother in terms of how to be independent, how to be very decisive also. Okay. Now that can have a good and a bad side to it. All right. These mother figures, the mother figure of an Aries moon, right? They can have a survival mindset almost, a very fend for yourself kind of energy. These people's mothers may feel like they can't depend on anybody. So oftentimes growing up in Aries moon, they inherit that energy from their mother and then they go out into the world and they act that same way or they adopt those same belief systems, right? So it's like oftentimes Aries moons most definitely have hyper independence issues. They can feel like they don't have a support system. They may feel like they don't want to reach out to people. They may feel like when they need help, nobody's there to help them. So there can be deep trauma associated with this moon sign. as the same with any other moon sign, okay? But on the more positive side, um, Aries moons are the type to only have a plan A. And if plan A don't work, then plan B is to make plan A work. So by default, these people are very aggressive in their approach to life. They are very passionate, very motivated, and very independent. They don't take no for an answer. And even when they get a no, they keep going until they get a yes. All right. So these people can be very unrelenting in their approach, which is absolutely positive. Sometimes it is very easy. It's very easy to get burnt out having an Aries moon. So Aries moons can really struggle with longevity. These people really get quick bursts of energy. So they can attack a problem relentlessly for a few months and then get very burnt out after, and they can take a while to recharge. Okay, so really steady, consistent action would work best for these people because their energy comes in quick waves. All right, so these people need a little bit more of consistent, slow, and deliberate actions in their lives. And as with all fire moon signs, these people can have a short temper. They can be very hot-headed. They can be very aggressive at times. It really depends on the aspects here. And then also, if your moon sign is in Aries, but it's also aspecting a malefic planet or it's in a malefic house, that will absolutely change the nuance of this interpretation. But Aries moons most definitely can be very hot-headed. They just take things the wrong way sometimes. And with Aries moons, it's not necessarily from a malicious place, It's just that sometimes they go with the first thought. Aries moons need to work on sitting with their thoughts and sitting with their reactions, all right? Shoot first, ask questions later. That's these people, all right? Once they feel a way, they run with that. And then depending on the rest of their chart, they can cause a lot of chaos in their life just based off of a quick emotion, all right? So that's also another struggle with these people. They can identify with their emotions too much. They can identify with their feelings instead of just letting their emotions come up and processing them. Instead of just observing their thoughts and their emotions, these people let their emotions take them over, okay? And that can be very good in certain situations, but a lot of times you may burn down bridges simply because you get your feelings hurt, all right? And this is the same with Aries Mercury and Aries Mars, but it's a lot more emphasized with the Aries moon because this is your inner world. This is how you operate internally, okay? Now, if you have an Earth sun sign, or really if you have an Earth sun sign, this can kind of temper that Aries moon down a little bit. But if you got another fire sun, or if you got an air sun, this can really put your emotions on display a lot more, okay? And then depending on how emotionally mature you are, will really show you how well that's received, all right? Now, Aries energy is really associated with more so physical things, more so expression, more so masculinity, more so motivation and pushing things out, right? But I have noticed that a lot of Aries placements are very smart, all right? Very smart, very smart. Not even necessarily just intellectually, but very smart on a primal level. Very smart on a human level, all right? Now, Aries energy is all about the self. So when you have an Aries moon, your emotions are always revolved around yourself. That can come off selfish sometimes, but in general, that's very good when you want to manifest something, all right? These people naturally think about their own life. They naturally gravitate toward what they have going on, all right? These people also really respect independence, all right? So they may get competitive at times, but at the same time, they really understand. Well, they may not understand and they may not care to understand, but they really may not care about what other people do in their lives, all right? Depending on the rest of the chart, of course, these people really don't gossip like that. These people really don't like gossip, all right? They don't like bullshitters. They don't like liars. They don't like manipulators, depending on the rest of the chart, of course. These people would rather just be straight up, blunt, honest. They do not like beating around the bush, okay? They do not like that shit. As we know, well, I say a lot of times, fire burns through reality, all right? It burns through all illusions, it burns through all falsehood, and it leaves whatever real is left. So a lot of times Aries, they don't want to hear the bullshit. Like, bro, the Aries moons is a type to where they don't like people that use a lot of big words. Not even that they can't understand it. It's not that Aries moons aren't smart. They are very smart. It's just that Aries moons, they see it as like you trying to skate around something, or you trying to beat around a bush, or you trying to like confuse somebody. It's like, no, Aries moons want you to get to the point, bro. Stop using all of these big words. Stop stop beating around the stop beating around the bush, bro. Get to the point, get there fast, and if you don't, my attention is already on the next thing because they like whatever's real. And if you don't appear that way to these people at first, then they really don't want to hear it. All right. They see it as bullshitting. They see it as they can get really negative. It's like when somebody comes to them with an idea and they don't communicate it fast enough. This Aries moon, they get impatient. All right. That's another thing about Aries moons. They get very impatient. They can be very impulsive, but also they are very real. They don't sugarcoat. They don't beat around the bush. They tackle the problem. And they're always all about willpower. They're about the power of the self. A lot of times, Aries moons, it's like, okay, I understand that this happened to me, but what can I do about it? They don't necessarily look for anybody else to solve their problems, okay? Aries moons can be users, but they really have no interest in using people. With Aries moons, it's more so like, if you're dumb enough to get used, then they'll just run over you, but they're not necessarily looking for that, all right? They're all about, what can I do for this situation that I'm in, all right? So Aries moons are very, very headstrong, all right? They're the ram. So by default, they like tackling problems. These people love a challenge. These people love a chase. They need something to where they can constantly have friction up against. Because in an Aries mind, it's like sometimes they see life as a battle. Sometimes they see life as a struggle, as a challenge. These people feel like life is war, okay? So if they're not constantly at war with something or someone, then they don't really feel comfortable like that, all right? Aries is a sign of war. So if you have the moon, which is comfort in Aries, they're going to be comfortable with being at war with something or someone. And a lot of times, this someone is that own Aries moon person. These people can always have an inner battle going on, and it can be very chaotic, especially when they grow up and they're learning how to manage their emotions. Just witnessing an Aries moon and how they operate when they're in their negative state, it can be very sad because they can have a lot of self-destructive tendencies, and they may be aware of that, but they can be so impulsive sometimes to where it's like they can't really slow down the momentum of their actions, all right? A lot of times, Aries don't necessarily have control over their emotions, their actions, or really their thoughts. So it's like Once they catch an emotion, or once they catch a fire, once they catch a passion, they're going straight for that, all right? And depending on if that's good or bad, that will depend on what situation that they manifest for themselves, all right? So in general, Aries moons are very headstrong, very independent. Call these people if you need real, raw advice, because they will not steer you wrong. They will not tell you wrong. Say what's up to Sasha. Say what's up, baby. So yeah, this is that friend that's like down for anything. Okay. Sometimes they can get really competitive with their friends, but for the most part, it comes from a place of needing to exert their energy in a certain way. And if Aries don't have a way to express themselves with vigor, they can get very self-destructive. They can get very, very chaotic, very negative, and they can downward spiral, okay? So, yeah, this video is almost 20 minutes. This is just part one because, as we all know, we are all always evolving, learning, and yeah, so I'm most definitely gonna make a part two to this video. No telling when, honestly, but yeah, that's Aries moons in a nutshell. Very strong, but these people's upbringing could have been very chaotic, and they took from that the fact that they need independence. They need hyper independence. They don't want to call, or they don't want to reach out for help sometimes. And that can lead them in situations where they feel alone, because they really make themselves feel like that sometimes, because they think that reaching out for help or expressing vulnerability, they feel like people can use that against them, all right? And then on top of that, these people can be very paranoid when it comes to interpersonal relationships, because they feel like people can exploit them if they show a sign of weakness or vulnerability, all right? And then it all circles back to the theme of war. If you're in a war with somebody, you don't want them to see your weaknesses. You don't want them to see your vulnerability. You just want them to see your strengths, all right? So Aries moons, these people come off very strong sometimes, depending on their rising and their sun, right? But these people come off very, very self-assured, very headstrong, very confident. But sometimes you really got to check on these people, because deep down, they may just be projecting that out for an image, when in reality, they can be fucked up on their last dollar and they need help. But it's like, in an Aries moon's mind, it's like, bro, I only got $10 in the bank account. If I call homeboy and I ask him for help, he might look at me like, why does he need help? What is he not capable with? When in reality, sometimes we all need help, bro. And Aries understand that. They really just don't like being in that position to where they're the one that needs help, all right? When an Aries moon is in trouble, they call on themselves. They think to themselves, all right, how can I get myself out this situation? They don't necessarily go for relationships first. That's more so like a Libra thing, okay? So they don't necessarily think about what other people think first. They think everybody thinks how they think, if that makes sense. Aries moons, they really think that everybody thinks about themselves first. And honestly, that's not necessarily a bad way to look at it, but everybody doesn't think like that, you know? So Aries moons really just focus on the self, and that's not really a bad thing. It can come across selfish sometimes, but a lot of times, focusing on yourself is the right answer. It really just depends how you go about it, of course, right? But in a nutshell, can be very impulsive, very territorial also, very territorial, very possessive, very defensive over the people that they love though. Like if they don't really care about you, they just gonna let you do whatever. They gonna look at you fail. Sometimes they might, and then sometimes these people love to see other people fail. But yeah, they can get very possessive, very jealous, very territorial over people in their life. All right. So if an Aries moon loves you, they will go all out for you, bro. They will do anything under the sun. But just make sure to check on this person, because you may not know if they need help or not, because they will be down to their last everything. Dire need of help, no gas in a car, no money to get gas, and they'd rather ask a random person in a grocery store for money because that person don't know them, and it's not as personal, you know? So it can get a little bit weird with Aries, but I feel you. If you're in Aries moon, I feel you, bro. It's like, it's really just the fear of perception, the fear of being vulnerable, the fear of accepting that you could be in a fucked up position. You feel me? But yeah, other than that, Aries moons, they need an outlet. All right. These people can be very competitive. They can be very forceful. And that's a good thing. Just learn how to channel that energy effectively. Okay. That's really the biggest things with Aries moons. All right. Channeling their energy effectively. Because if they put it in a wrong spot, if they put it in a wrong avenue, if they start doing negative shit, they're going to spiral very fast. All right. Because with Aries especially, whatever their mind is on, that's where they're going. And Aries, they move so fast. If they're looking down or if they're looking at some negative shit, they're going to go there very, very, very fast. Okay? So really what you pay attention to is what you put your energy in. Of course, we all know that, right? But with Aries moons, that's true times two. Okay, because wherever you go there fast. You go there fast. All right. So yeah, 22 minutes right now. I'm gonna leave a little bit for part two, but other than that, any questions, drop them down in the comments. If you are an Aries moon, let me know your sun, moon, and rising, and then that'll give me a little insight into how you actually operate. All right. And then on top of that, if your moon is aspecting a malefic, which is Saturn or Mars, or if it's in the 8th house or the 12th house, that will absolutely change the interpretation of this reading, I guess. But Patreon, link is in the description, okay? Learn from me personally. I have a $5 membership if you cannot afford the $10 membership. Go ahead my TikTok, go ahead my Instagram. I do weekly lives over there, okay? And I also do Big 3 interpretations sometimes, as well as teaching y'all different things about astrology, okay? But if you want to learn from me more one-on-one, add my Patreon, text me on Instagram or TikTok. I'm very responsive, okay? But yeah, without further ado, I'll catch y'all next video.